right, how you guys doing today? It's a rainy, dreary day in Louisiana. You can probably see out there. But I've got a few interesting developments I wanted to tell you guys. One of them is a guitar shop out of the UK, and I'll give the link and everything in the description. So be sure to open up the More button and look at the links. But they contacted me, and they just happen to be the sole distributor of Roger Mayer effects, and they're about 45 miles southwest of London. They contacted me and said they were getting ready to do an interview of Roger Mayer on their YouTube channel, and I'll put that link. It's called Guitar Village. That's the name of the store. And they contacted me to ask me if I had any questions for Roger. And I was honored and shocked, So I said, questions? I could talk to the guy for months. So I know I'm going to open up a big old floodgate, but if you have any questions for Roger Mayer, put them in the comments, and I'll do my best to make a list and see what gets answered. We know how these interviews can go where it might be, I don't know how long the interview is going to be. It could be 15, 20 minutes, an hour. There'll be so many questions by so many people that who knows which ones will be answered. But I asked him I will ask him some fairly strange ones, like the one that we had in one of my videos where why did Jimmy string his wound E string on the wrong side of the tuning peg, and simple, funny things like that nobody can answer, to more complex things like his effects, what mods he did. And I'm sure all the effects guys out there, if they get a hold of this, they'll probably send 1,000 questions. I know of a few, but that's one development. The second development is, if you don't have the original vintage size Fender frets on one of your guitars, I'm telling you, you need to get at least one guitar with those frets. This is, if you've watched my last few videos, this is the new Music Craft neck that I bought with the original size frets on them. And I can't put the guitar down. I'm so bummed now that I want these on all of my guitars, and I'll tell you why here in a second. But I was so afraid of not being able to play it, and it's just a big myth. It bends just as easy, and you have more contact with the neck, the fingerboard. You can't push your notes out of tune as easily. And they're just fantastic. They have a really sharp attack. I mean, if you want to sound like Jimmy or get closer to Jimmy, you have to have these frets. So if you have more than one Strat or just one and you want to try them, I highly recommend that you put them on one of your guitars. And then after that, you may want them on all. I was kind of shocked that after I mentioned it, a lot of people came back on Instagram and said, oh, I've had those frets for a long time. I love them, the small frets. I want to remember the dimensions. I'll put that in the description. I think they're 0.043 inch high and 0.078 inches wide. Is that right? Yeah. So, I don't know if you can see, they're just the standard frets, but I was so nervous that I wouldn't be able to bend. And it's just as easy, if not easier, to bend. They sound so crisp and so precise. You'll love them. I guarantee it. And if you really want a cool neck, just go to my Music Craft specs on my video, my last couple videos. I'll put a link at the end of this video. And just order exactly what I put on there, and you'll get a super nice neck. I mean, you could go 7 1/4 the whole way as far as the radius goes, but I went, compound 7 1/4 to 9 1/2, and I love it. But I think you probably could get 7 1/4 radius and still not fret out up here. But I wanted to be sure, so I went to the 9 1/2 up here where I bend really big. And the chords are so precise. The intonation is perfect. And I'll explain to you in a little bit why I think that Leo got it right again. He put those frets on there and they're perfect. And then the last thing is my next tutorial type video, I will do a closer look on the Hey Baby from Live in Maui. And the main reason is because I discovered a ton of Jimi'isms again, and how he flows through the chords with a melody all the time, and you kind of miss that if you're just doing the chords. But he's got single note melody going through those chords, and it's always different. So I'll show you that in the next tutorial. It's very cool. I'll show you one here in a second. One of the Jimi'isms that I discovered that I would never think of. And very simple, but it just sounds better the way he does it. But so let's get to the frets and why I love them so much, the small frets. So what I really love about these is they have such a sharp attack when you hit the note. Very clean and clear. And what I was getting on my old, I kind of settled on 6105s over here on this is the only guitar I have that has them in nickel now. I was getting what I would call a fret chatter, just a little bit of chatter is the best I can describe it, on all my wider frets, especially when they start flattening. Okay, what I was trying to show you here is that, you know, the lower height keeps you from pushing hard and knocking the string out of tune. I'm tuned it to E flat, that's why it's showing F sharp on the G. But if you push on it, and now I'm pushing harder, see how it's going sharper? I'm pushing pretty hard to get it to do that. Now on a higher fret, let me switch guitars to the green one. Well, you can hear it. It's just a lot easier to push your notes out of tune with the higher frets. And, you know, when these things start flattening out, it's best to have a perfect right down the center crown, which is what's so good about these stainless steel frets. And that's something else I'll talk about here in a second. But these start flattening out and you get uneven wear in spots, which you can't really see, but trust me, I play right in this area a lot. So you get uneven wear, and then when you're playing your chords, a lot of times you might notice, hey, this thing's not, why is it in tune down here? That has a lot to do with the tempered scale and all that, equal temperament, because it can't be perfect. But still, with the frets being flat, you're changing the contact points and it's not at the very top in the center of the fret, and it's different all around depending on how much it wears out. So these right now, with no wear, the intonation is perfect. On those open big E chords that you love so much when you're doing Voodoo Child, and you hear Jimmy's guitar and you go, man, those notes blend together so well. That's a lot to do with these small vintage frets, and it just gives you more room to get fingers in there, you know, between frets and everything. So believe me, you will love them. Who started this jumbo fret craze anyway? Does anybody know? I'm assuming it was Stevie Ray back in the 80s. And why did he do that? I know everybody thought, oh, the bigger old monster frets you put on there, it's easier to bend, which I'm finding out isn't true. So were there other reasons why he went jumbo? You know how hard he played. You saw his Strats. They were worn out. A little fret like this in nickel, I wouldn't do it. I would never put these on a guitar in nickel. I could wear these out in a month because I play the same way, push really hard and vibrate. You know, it's almost like a hacksaw on there. You go, I could wear these things out. But the stainless, that's it. If it wasn't for the stainless, I wouldn't do it. And it turns out that stainless frets weren't even available until early 90s. Stevie died in 1990. So he never had stainless steel frets available to him. I think if he had, he probably would have kept the vintage frets on there. But I like to speculate a lot. You guys probably know that by now, but I think it might be true. As hard as he played, and I'm sure he had his guitars refretted all the time because he even wore out those big frets. But I don't see any big advantage in those big monster frets. These things are easy to grab. I have it set up just like I always do. And it's actually easier to do some of those jimmies where you go up and then grab the next string and go down. It's easier to do that with the small frets for me. And like I said, the attack is crystal clear. The notes are so on point. You know, just no clatter, no chatter, clatter, whatever you want to call it. All right, I'll show you that one little Jimi'ism to get you going on the Hey Baby tutorial, which is going to take me a while because there's so much to that stuff. Jimmy does something different every bar, you know, it changes everything constantly. And every time there's a new Jimi'ism in it. Let me show you that Jimi'ism just to tease you a little bit. All right, this is just something I would have never thought of. And of course, Jimmy thinks of everything. But this is Hey Baby, when you go. See what I'm doing there? He's so deliberate in every note. That's what is so amazing about him. So he's doing this. Normally, I would go up, because he does that in Little Wing. But in this particular situation, he goes. So this note's going, and this one's. I would have never thought to go from 2 frets to 1 fret. So there's your little Jimi'ism for the day. And then he always has those bass notes that are so deliberate. On that D he goes. So, all right, send in your questions for Roger Mayer, and I will make a list and send them to Thomas at Guitar Village in close to London, and we'll see what kind of questions he'll answer. I'm sure some of it's still proprietary since he's still selling effects, making effects, and so questions about his proprietary mods. Now, you know, current mods probably won't fly, but anything that he did to Jimmy's effects, I'm going to ask him those questions. And Jimmy's Strats. And studio amps, which I'm not sure he knows, but I'm definitely going to ask. But I'll talk to you guys later and stay in touch.